Hello, Wastelanders! We are back in the world of Fallout 4 today, basking in the sun, but our challenge is to beat the game on survival mode using the dark, otherworldly powers of a demon. Before we talk about the why, let's cover the how by discussing the rules. We play on survival mode, which adds a myriad of challenges to the gameplay, including thirst, hunger, lethargy, disease, lower carry weight, extra damage given and taken, slower healing, no fast travel, saves only happen when sleeping, etc. No exploits, and mods only allowed for game stability. Visual enhancements are those needed to create the special looks and powers associated with our demon character. No console commands unless necessary for dealing with glitches. We only use weapons that deal visible fire damage or otherwise fit the infernal theme from a lore perspective. And keep in mind that we are allowed to make any amendments to these constraints that we deem fit in the spirit of the challenge. Now let's talk about why our demon character is based on Nora. Most people have heard of the historical Salem witch trials, and they are even referenced in the Commonwealth of Fallout 4. But American folklore includes other tales about the devil's litigious dealings with the people of New England. In The Devil and Tom Walker, written by Washington Irving in 1824, the devil, referred to as Old Scratch, makes a contract to save Massachusetts resident Tom Walker from slow, ignominious starvation at the cost of his soul and the life of his spouse. Mr. Scratch makes a return in The Devil and Daniel Webster by Stephen Vincent Benet, wherein the New England lawyer and statesman Daniel Webster successfully defends his client from a binding contract with the devil himself. Players of Fallout 4 see Nora living the quiet life of an average suburban housewife in the opening scenes of the game, and we are informed that she is a practicing lawyer who has taken a temporary leave of absence for the birth of her infant son, Sean. This playthrough explores more sinister possibilities behind these facts, though. What if, in the looming shadow of a terrible war, an ambitious and talented New England lawyer like Laura searched for a way to protect her family's future and found in the annals of her forebearers the means to strike a bargain with the devil? If she secured an unholy promise to protect her young family from death in the war to come, doesn't it make sense that the representative of an evil enterprise like Vault-Tec would show up at her door in the nick of time with a place in Vault 111? And if so, what purpose was Nora's family meant to serve for Mr. House? I mean, Mr. Scratch?
Good morning. Vault-Tec calling.
The apocalypse? Well, hell, sign me up.
That's the spirit.
Nora is perfectly average across the board at the start of this journey, living the suburban dream, and then things take a turn.
I love you.
Oh my God!
Nora and her family are taken down into the secret bowels of the earth, and we all know how things turn out after they are saved from the bombs.
God damn it. Get the kid out of here. Let's go. At least we still have the backup.
The stories try to warn us that Mr. Scratch never quite honors a contract the way you'd expect. Even so, Nora is desperate to save her son, and before leaving the vault, she doubles down on her dealings with the devil. A new addendum is added to Nora's contract. She entered as Nora with 4s in all her special stats. She exits the underworld as Norazriel with 6, 6, and 6 in her first 3 stat columns. She has a new look and some new powers to aid her in the world above, and a little bit less of her humanity to get in the way of doing what needs to be done to find Sean. Nora's reddish tinge is courtesy of Rainbow Skin Colors by Wolfina 2. Nora's striking new hair comes to us from the Anto hair pack by Anto and Tbos, and the eyes branded by Hell itself are here thanks to Anime Eyes by ChrispyNi. These are all standalone mods. You won't need anything but the base game for these. Returning to Sanctuary, a name that seems pretty ironic now, we meet up with Codsworth and find out that he has absolutely no useful information about Sean's kidnappers.
It's really you.
And then we do the thing where we obsessively gather every scrappable item around Sanctuary because this is survival, and we have some prep work to do before we attempt to tangle with the mutants and psychos of the Wasteland. Our search of Sanctuary turns up a chic new outfit and the resources to craft a couple of Molotov cocktails, but we need a minion, so it's off to Red Rocket to find the bestest hellhound, Dogmeat.
Hey, boy. What are you doing out here all by yourself? Sort of a flea bag, aren't you?
His sweet brown eyes say that he pledges his eternal loyalty to our fiendish quest for revenge.
Okay, then. Let's stick together.
Soon, some mutated mole rats think we are on the menu, and we start spamming our limited supply of Molotov cocktails with no accuracy because we are in third person. This still does some damage though because we have installed Molotov and Flamer. Molotov and Flamer essentially overhauls the vanilla Flamer and Molotov weapons to do fire damage instead of energy damage, and to leave burning pools of fire that will cause fear and fire damage over time to enemies foolish enough to step in them. We survive the mole rat fight and find 2 basic pieces of shoulder armor for our trouble, but it is clear that before we take on human enemies, we are going to need to access our demonic powers. We return to Sanctuary with our minion Dogmeat to craft the items we'll need in order to unleash some of our fiery abilities. The first item we'll be making is a consumable that comes to us from the infernal genius of the Flame On mod by Despy. Consuming Flame On grants us plus 100 damage resistance, plus 1000 fire resistance, plus 150 melee damage, and makes us look amazing by lighting us on fire for 45 seconds so that our enemies know that hell is coming for them. Finally, something worth foraging hub flower for. Our early weapon of choice also comes to us from the Flame On mod in the form of an invisible set of knuckles that does fire damage with a chance to ignite enemies on impact. Base knuckle damage is 16. But Flame On adds 21 fire damage, and now, as per our binding contract with Mr. Scratch, we are ready to start sacrificing souls to hell like an apocalyptic ghost rider. An otherworldly sixth sense draws us to our first victim, a raider junkie and his attack dog that are holed up in a shack behind Sanctuary. The disturbance attracts some bloat flies to the fight. Unfortunately, we aren't Beelzebub, and we find ourselves pitted against 5 enemies at once.
Oh!
45 seconds was all the time we needed, and thanks to our superhuman new powers, we emerge victorious, having sent Mr. Scratch the first soul of many in payment for them. We loot the area and return to Sanctuary. Looking in the mirror after our first human kill, we're unable to shake the feeling that something is different. And indeed, as we slide further down this soul-sacrificing path of revenge, we will look different, because Look's Mirror by Expired 6978 lets us build a mirror as a settlement object that will open the Looks menu for our character and make changes at will. Before we get on with things, I should mention that we grabbed the Grognak comic, adding 5% to unarmed damage, and put a point into luck with the special book because graphic novels and children's stories are the best teachers for post-apocalyptic survival skills. Given our limited weapon options, we still need more leveling before fighting the raiders in Concord, so like Tom Walker before us, Old Scratch shows us some treasure that a greedy Wastelander died hoarding. So we snapped that up. Then he led us to the tragic family at Abernathy
Last
Farm.
time those raiders hit us, my daughter Mary tried to stand up to them. Now she's buried out back of the house. Only 21 years old, and they shot her down without a thought.
And the final stop on his little tour of triumphs was nearby Wicked Fleet Shipping, where 2 brothers had killed each other in a fight over money.
Blake, I want you to listen to me as a brother here. We are in way over our heads, man.
Yes, they were, but their place had some good loot, and we grabbed the Wicked Fleet Shipping key so we could continue to profit off their ill-gotten gains. Eventually, we felt the pull to send Mr. Scratch another installment of souls harvested with the hellfire of our flaming fists, and so, in the dead of night, we swept up to the fighting in Concord and dispatched the raiders at the Museum of Freedom, feeling full of terrible power.
Just you.
On the balcony.
I've got a group of settlers inside. The raiders are almost through the door. Grab that laser musket and help us, please!
No telling why Preston thought it was a good idea to ask a burning killer for help in the dead of night, but the sheer ballsiness of the request makes us curious enough to hear him out, after sending more raider souls to the underworld, of course. Maybe you spotted the cigarette in this raider's mouth. In a playthrough devoted to fire, we had to try out the Simple Smokes mod by Sable17, converting cigars and cigarettes into aid items that temporarily stave off lethargy and add charisma, but an addiction withdrawal will cost you 20 action points.
Man, I don't know who you are, but your timing's impeccable. Preston Garvey, Commonwealth Minute.
Our arrival is hardly impeccable, but Preston was right about not knowing who we are. Finding ourselves among this sorry group of Quincy rejects is a little strange when we are on a demonic revenge spree, but we do still have some humanity, and helping this group will lead to flushing more raider souls into the underworld, so we go along with it.
Maybe our luck's finally turning around.
Whatever you say, Preston. We're just here for the carnage, and the bobblehead, and surprisingly, we find a medium in the group that seems to have made a deal or two with Mr. Scratch herself. And since we've committed to being guided by dubious spiritual influences, we listen to her.
It's the chems, kid. They give old Mama Murphy the sight. Been that way for as long as I can remember.
Okay, we'll keep your extrasensory perceptions in mind, and we'll snag this perception bobblehead while we're at it. Outside, we eschew the power armor. With our demonic abilities, we should be able to handle this flesh and blood Deathclaw, right? And if not, at least in our pride, we have checked another of the 7 deadly sins off our list.
Still waiting, asshole!
Preston's laser musket scatters the raiders, and we use our nimble limbs to parkour down to the street in search of Molotov cocktails to use against our enemies. Not wanting to waste our Molotovs, we opt to close the distance. And when we are this close, we can see that the raiders aren't dressed in vanilla rags. Instead, we're using raider clothing by FrancoisHaggis and Capital Wasteland Raider Pack by HCGX Grill to give the raiders more flair and durability. The bonus is that some of the outfits from these mods might really suit our evil look in this playthrough. The Deathclaw has arrived, and because Molotov and Flamer has added a fear effect to immolation, our strategy is to turn up the heat on this Deathclaw with Molotovs. We only have 5 left, and hopefully that is enough to wear it down. In the meantime, we still have the raiders to contend with. Watching the Deathclaw crack raiders open like eggs is enough to get anybody nervous. This fight feels like Mr. Scratch is testing us, and hopefully we have what it takes to win, because failure isn't an option when you're dealing with the devil. Through a combination of using cover, burning damage over time, and brazen toe-to-toe melee attacks, we prevail. I knew we could do it. No power armor, no minigun, just the white-hot, all-destroying hellfire of a mother's rage.
That was a pretty amazing display. I'm just glad you were on our side.
Oh, Preston, you are assuming a lot. But our thirst for blood has been slaked by the Deathclaw, so you'll live to see another day. What we really want is some advice from the beyond, from Mama Murphy.
I can feel your son's energy. He's alive.
That's a shame.
Where is my son? Where is Sean?
He's out there. And even I don't need the sight to tell you where you should start looking. The great green jewel of the Commonwealth, Daemon City.
But we return to Sanctuary to restock before the journey, and in the mirror, wearing the clothes we took off the corpse of a raider sadist, we look much more grim than we did in this bathroom on the day the bombs dropped. And we are kind of enjoying it. To catch up on our levels, we are at level 6 after Concord, and we have taken Action Girl, our first non-special perk, because we'll definitely be using VATS a lot with our melee playstyle. Heading on the road south, we encounter the Oscar of this wasteland Sesame Street, Trash Can Carla. She tells us how to find Daemon City. At nearby Drumlin Diner, we achieve what feels like our only speech check pass of the playthrough by threatening an old lady to pay a drug pusher.
You're not dealing with Wolfgang anymore. You're dealing with me. Now hand over that money before this gets ugly.
All right, you win. I'll pay up.
We are still feeling proud of ourselves about it the next morning when we wake up snuggled up to a skeleton on a dirty mattress in the Starlight Drive-In. Following the tracks, we refuse to aid a dying woman.
I've seen worse. You don't look like you're dying.
We loot the scene of a pre-war murder in a Wicked Fleet shipping container. And we take a moment to encourage a post-war murder between traveling
Don't come
companions.
any closer, friend.
You know what? You should kill him.
What? No!
A little later, we euthanize some rescue dogs that were never going to be adopted. And we kill a mourner at his lover's graveside.
Are you fucking?
Along the way, we agree to help an entire settlement of what we thought were Mr. Handsies after they made some suggestive promises.
If you can get it working again, I'm sure I can come up with something for you.
Spoiler alert, that did not pan out the way we had envisioned it. The next group we accidentally helped was much more eventful.
Target eliminated.
Some kind of subconscious whispering from Mr. Scratch told us these overzealous Brotherhood types could be used to benefit us if we just exploited their dogma a little.
I'm Paladin Dance, Brotherhood of Steel. We're on recon duty, but I'm down a man and our supplies are running low. So what do you say? You willing to lend the Brotherhood of Steel a hand?
So we tagged along on a search and retrieve mission to a pre-war aerospace facility called Arc Jet Systems. Whoever was interested enough in Vault 111 to steal Sean right out of it might have been interested in a place like Arc Jet, too. And sure enough, they were. With Molotov and Flamer, Molotovs have a lower initial explosion damage and a lower stagger, which really shows with these synth enemies who aren't feared by burning. But that wasn't really the toughest part. When we tried to conserve our dwindling supply of Flame On, the fight became much harder. Word to the wise, don't take your demon powers for granted. And we didn't know it then, but as we gained levels, the damage difference with and without Flame On would only grow more pronounced. Arc Jet proved to be a worthwhile trip though. The Arc Jet engine, designed to deliver nuclear death to millions, was still a deadly furnace of beauty in its own right. We wouldn't have missed using this fire-based weapon against our enemies for the world, and it was obviously allowed by the rules of the challenge. And for the record, Paladin Dance must have done a sneaky armor upgrade because he has never stood up to the fire that well. We help mop up the last room and nab the transmitter, but poor Dance is clearly smitten. And who can blame him? We're hot. Outside, he tries to flatter us with a gift, and we decide to let him down easy.
Thank you.
But we would never use a weapon named Righteous Authority.
I wanted to make you a proposal.
Oh boy, this is awkward.
I don't know.
It's a big decision.
It's not as big as he thinks it is. Besides, Dance is a prude and we're about to become a cannibal. It would never have worked out. That's right, folks. Mr. Scratch will grant us even more power if we succumb to a dark craving. And at level 9, we finally have the endurance stats to claim the Cannibal perk, which grants us health when we eat corpses. Now we're talking. So we continue on down the tracks, having a blast, wrecking everyone we see. And we didn't even have to pack a lunch. What's that? Someone calling for help in the distance? Don't fret, we're on our way.
Hey! I told you to bring them into the basement! Shut up! They're headed this way now. Be ready!
You know, I'm starting to think that Hardware Town is a trap.
Bring it!
For them.
What's the point of hiding back here?
Now we'll soften them up with some Molotovs and move in to finish the boss off. Oh look, paint. We arrive at Diamond City with a trail of chewed-on corpses in our wake, and despite our appearance being a literal red flag, a loudmouth with no self-preservation instinct named Piper lies to get us inside the gate, which we kind of like her for. And now that we're here, there's plenty for us to do. At first, no one will talk to us about finding a missing person, which leads to an interesting conversation with a priest.
Life here is still a hell of a lot safer than out there in the Commonwealth.
A hell of a lot safer indeed. Then we console Riley by making sure his brother's corpse doesn't go to waste in the street.
Excuse me.
My God. Kyle.
We trade in some paint from Hardware Town for some XP and caps.
This is the part where I get paid.
Right you are. You there. We need to have a conversation.
We get the Chekhov's gun of all job offers.
Come down to Cabot House in Beacon Hill and ask to talk to Jack. I'll let him know you're coming.
Taking a page from the Devil's Playbook, we dress sharp so people will do what we say, and we talk to Piper, who is still the most oblivious reporter imaginable, about our quest for revenge.
Why are you calling me that?
'Cause you're a vault dweller?
Finally, we remember one of Mama Murphy's crazy visions.
Follow the signs to the bright heart.
This leads us to Nick Valentine's office, only to be told,
The detective, he's gone. Missing.
It is at this point that we say, screw Nick Valentine, we need levels, and probably a flamethrower. So we eat and murder our way through the raiders at Beantown Brewery, taking the first level of Gun Nut in anticipation of future crafting. Then, moving further north, we murder and eat our way through the raiders at the Corvega assembly plant. Afterward, we take the second Gun Nut perk because, Dark Lord willing, someday we will get a flamer. And making our way ever north, we murder and eat our way through the raiders at Satellite Station Olivia, where we take the Covert Ops magazine, eventually returning to Sanctuary to craft our greatest weapon yet, the Summon Demon Skull, which, thanks to Summon Demon Deathclaw mod by Ragnar1313, calls a demon Deathclaw that leaves supernatural fire in its footprints and decimates enemies with the ferocity of hell itself. Seriously, this is his health after a pretty nasty super mutant fight that ended with a super mutant suicider trying to take him out. You can see how well that went for him. And after so much unholy carnage, we are really looking the part with customized horns sprouting from our head courtesy of Red Leviathan's Deathclaw Horns Headwear. But we don't need a mirror to tell us that our demonic side has grown more powerful, and we head to Vault 114 to rescue Nick from the Triggerman.
There, Valentine? Feeling hungry? Want a snack?
We can't speak for Valentine, Dino, but we're going to take you up on that snack.
Gotta love the irony of the reverse damsel in distress scenario.
You have a talent for understatement, Nick. A talent that hopefully rubs off on us now that we have grabbed the speech bobblehead. It was a little too soon to try talking our way out of this fight, though. So we take the second demolition perk for its useful throwing arc and let the mayhem begin.
Hell yeah.
Shit. Not bad.
This fight was actually no cakewalk, and by the time we faced Skinny and Darla, we were wishing we could talk our way out.
I told you we should have just killed him! But then you had to get all sentimental.
And that is when we remembered what a mentats-addled Mama Murphy had told us.
The fat man and the angry woman. Tell them to remember the quarry and Lily June on the rocks, and they'll let you and your friend pass.
Skinny, remember the quarry. Lily June on the rocks. Ring any bells?
How the hell did you know about that? Okay, you two can go. You got until the count of 10.
And so it was, that by the time we had returned to Diamond City, we were looking as devilish as Lucifer himself, and we were ready to find our baby or tear heaven and earth apart looking for him. Well, here we are. Nick helped us find Kellogg's house. We tried to charm the key out of Genevieve, hence the suit. And now we have Kellogg in our sights. And someone was finally selling a flamer. It's just a matter of time before he burns.
Get Kellogg, boy. Take me to that son of a bitch.
We fought our way to Kellogg, saving our only demon-summoning skull for the confrontation.
Bloody bandages. Dog meat can track this.
But the closer we got, the more personal it felt.
Gwyneth Stout. One of his creature comforts.
Our rage just built. And so did our abilities. Soon Kellogg himself was taunting us over the PA system.
You got guts and determination. It's admirable. You are in over your head in ways you can't possibly comprehend.
It was at about that point we decided that using our summon would only cheat us out of finishing that cocky bastard ourselves.
It's not too late. Stop. Turn around and leave. You have that option.
In about 5 seconds, you're going to wish you still had that option, Kellogg.
And there she is. The most... You must be terminated.
Sustaining systems offline.
The stealth boy's pretty clever, Kellogg, but it turns out when somebody's on fire, they're not that hard to spot. You know what has to happen next. If you know, you know. Cannibalism cravings in a survival playthrough is no joke.
All this tech. You were barely human.
Which makes 2 of us. Next stop, the roof. To welcome those pious tech hoarders, the Brotherhood of Steel.
People of the Commonwealth, do not interfere. Our intentions are peaceful. We are the Brotherhood of Steel.
That's a nice blimp you have there, fellas. Funny thing about hydrogen, you know what? I don't want to spoil the surprise. Heading back to Diamond City, the next time we see Piper, it almost sounds like she finally understands.
Well, well, speak of the devil.
Our brain trust here seems to understand a lot today, and manages to point us to the memory den in Good Neighbor, where we jump into Kellogg's memories to find out that a former Institute scientist named Virgil is hiding in the glowing sea and may just know a way into the Institute.
Is that your son?
Why the tone, Dr. Amari? Oh my god, what happened to Sean? It's a good thing his dad isn't alive to see this. He may have some questions about what really happened in the park a little less than a year before Sean came along.
So what's the big crisis this time?
New orders for you. One of our scientists has left the Institute.
So we need to cross the glowing sea, and power armor is basically the only viable way to do it. Here's the thing, if we're going to use power armor, it only seems fitting that we go out of our way to get a set that best suits the playthrough. So we did the Speak of the Devil DLC side quest that came free with the next gen update and netted a set of Exo 2 Mark III in the process. We slap on some red paint and call it good. The glowing sea is always a dangerous place, but having the baddest Deathclaw around on our side definitely helps smooth out the kinks of this journey. Eventually, we ask directions from some children of Adam who worship an even more messed up deity than we do.
State your purpose or be divided in his sight.
What's going on here?
Atom reached out and touched this world, bringing his glow to us. It remains to this day a reminder of his promise. Infinite worlds through division.
Okay.
I'm looking for someone named Virgil.
Virgil?
And sure enough, we find Virgil in his cave, just brimming with helpful exposition.
Virgil?
You know damn well I am.
Virgil sends us out to confront a Courser, one of the Institute's elite superhuman operatives, which means fighting our way through an army of gunner mercenaries to confront him. But that isn't so hard when we are superhuman ourselves.
You, come here.
When the big moment finally comes...
You will die like the rest of them.
It turns out that coursers and Kellogg have the same stealth boy battle plan, and flamers really throw a wrench in it. A little anticlimactic, but this is survival. We'll take the W. We go back to Amari, hoping she can decode it, but she tells us that only a group called the Railroad even has a chance. So we find ourselves back on the hunt, following the Freedom Trail until it leads to the one place we aren't sure we can go. Consecrated ground at the Old North Church. But we step through the door, and it turns out not to be a problem. And as we mow down ghouls in search of the Railroad's headquarters, we actually kind of like the vibe of the catacombs. We negotiated a contract with the devil, so the Railroad puzzle is childishly easy, and we find ourselves confronted by a rather paranoid group.
Stop right there.
Deacon, the consummate voyeur, vouches for us, so they are suitably impressed by our victory over the Courser, and easy to persuade into helping us decode its chip.
Oh, I see you invited the Courser killer. Nice.
We're in. Chip accessed.
Then, we have an odd choice to weigh. Do we join? On the one hand, they hang out in a church with good and selfless intentions, which doesn't sound like our crowd, but on the other hand, they fight against a nearly omnipotent enemy from the shadows, with a stubborn pugnacity that could rival Scratch himself, and they're only interested in saving synths, who have no souls, so they won't be asking us to do anything that will compromise our standing with you-know-who. Plus, we want access to Ballistic Weave, which only the Railroad DIA missions can grant us. Lastly, thanks to the Railroad-oriented Kite's Handmaiden outfit, which we find a set of in the Railroad catacombs, we'll be dressed sharp when we choose to step into the light. Decision made. Why not? We'll join. So we help Deacon grab some prototype thing from their old headquarters at the switchboard, smashing some Gen 1 and 2 synths along the way, and we emerge as the best-dressed member of the Railroad. Side quests notwithstanding, we once more don our devilish power armor and return to Virgil in the glowing sea to move the main storyline along and to see who would win in a sarcasm staring contest.
No, I just went out for a little stroll and thought I'd stop back and say hi.
It's a good thing your survival and my humanity aren't at stake. Otherwise, I might be annoyed by your attitude.
Back in the Commonwealth, we approach Desdemona relay interceptor plans in hand, and she has to change into dry underwear when we tell her that we'll let the Railroad help us build it.
Not sure how long before it peaks.
Oh, Des peeked back at the church when we showed her these plans, Tom. The Railroad has big ideas about infiltrating the Institute, but we have our own priorities.
I can't do that. I need to find my son.
I'm confident you can find a way to do both. I leave it to your discretion.
And that is where we left it, climbing to the platform and waiting for human ingenuity to take us where even the devil's own powers could not. To Sean. To the Institute.
We got it!
Find a way to save them.
In an instant, we were there. We strolled forward like inevitability itself, knowing nothing would be able to stop us from reaching our boy. We had sacrificed our very soul to find him, and no one would keep us apart.
Hello.
For a moment, the voice caught us off guard.
I wondered if you might make it here. You're quite resourceful.
It seemed familiar.
I am known as Father. The Institute is under my guidance.
But no smooth voice distractions were going to pull us from our mission here. Find Sean and protect him. Seeing Sean there, unnaturally red as Kellogg had remembered him, our head swims with doubt. We looked like this because we belonged to Mr. Scratch now. Did Sean belong to him as well? Had he always?
Sean?
Huh? Yes, I'm Sean.
Honestly, none of that mattered now. We were finally together.
Sean. I've been looking for you for so long.
Father, help me! She's trying to take me! Father, help me!
But the moment sifted like sand through our fingers and was gone. The boy was a synth. A trick.
S923, recall code...
Replaced with an even more startling meeting.
It's good to finally meet you. After all this time. It's me. I am Sean. I am
Your son.
As he said it, in that familiar tone, we knew it was true.
Sean. It's really you.
I simply ask that you give the Institute, me, a chance. Will you take that chance?
We had been taking every chance to believe, to find him. That was not going to change now.
All right.
Thank you.
And so we became what Sean needed of us. We learned about Sean's legacy at the Institute. Their science was impressive, but they had many powerful enemies. And as Sean's sword and shield against them, we needed a power beyond science.
Synth already?
Once more, we followed the unholy whisperings of Mr. Scratch to a place where secret power was buried. The Shemdrown sword, a unique weapon entombed with a warning about the cursed nature of the blade, claiming it was made with devil's iron. Its victims are struck down by a radioactive poison that continues to infect their wounds long after a cut is made. Indeed, it was powerful, but we felt drawn toward another weapon with a dark history, wreathed in flame. Rumor had reached us of a vicious raider boss who terrorized his enemies with a fiery sword, and we cut down his forces at Saugus Ironworks one by one with the Shemdrown sword to take it.
Help! If she tries to leave, kill her. You must be pretty strong to make it here.
It was easy.
A normal character would have had a very difficult time against the upgraded elemental damage of the Ironworks Raiders, but we were a flame-on-powered demon with 1000 fire resistance and 150% melee damage. We shredded them. When it was over, we took the Shishkebab for ourselves. Its damage was similar to the Shemdrown, so it was a matter of preference between the two. But our search for the perfect weapon wasn't over. We felt the pull of a dark malevolence to a place of ancient evil at the bottom of Dunwich borers. Feasting on corpses, we recovered our strength. We would need it for the slaughter to come. In survival mode, every fight against multiple enemies is a tough one, and Dunwich is one of the toughest. But it wasn't just us slashing our way through enemies. We had Dogmeat, our Demon Deathclaw, and our strategic use of Molotovs to eventually win our way into the mine. There, we continued to cut down raiders, venturing ever deeper into the quaking pit. After finishing off the raiders and grabbing the Astounding Tales magazine for better damage resistance against robots, we had to unchain the door and go where even the raiders were afraid to tread. Lower stations 4, 5, and 6 of the mine were infested with ghouls. We scored a sneak bobblehead as we were irresistibly drawn deeper by pre-war visions of human sacrifice in an arcane buried temple. The ruins of which were still guarded by ancient ghouls. As a final test of our faith, we had to dive into the oubliette and bring forth that most otherworldly and infernal weapon, Kremvah's tooth. Thus we were rewarded with our ultimate infernal weapon, a powerful unique dealing bleed and poison damage, and looking all the more unique due to the demonic Kremvah's tooth skin by Paranoid. So armed with demonic abilities, demonic weapons, and a devil's grim will, we threw ourselves and all our powers into protecting the institute that protected Sean.
You must be the courser I'm supposed to meet.
Yes, ma'am. Designation X688.
Let's get the hell out of here! This is fucking crazy!
Is the Institute so desperate for resources that it's stealing plunder from honest, hard-working Commonwealth gangs?
We would demonstrate our loyalty through service.
B592 initialize factory reset. Authorization Gamma 71 Epsilon.
And if necessary, through blood and fire. When the time came to prove our loyalty through betrayal...
Hello, Mother. Tell me, what would you do when someone has stolen from you?
After everything I've been through to find you,
We didn't hesitate.
I think you already know.
The group that calls themselves the Railroad have acquired several synths from the Institute.
I'll act quickly. You can count on me.
You'll have a contact waiting for you just outside Bunker Hill. Good luck.
We wouldn't need luck, but we would pick up the unique plasma weapon Experiment X-18A from the requisition vendor and convert it into a lighter weight flamer. This was possible because we took the second science perk at level 33. Hanging out in the Peaceful Institute makes us corpse-hangry, so we arrive at Bunker Hill with a bad
I've been waiting for
attitude.
you.
Watch your tone, Synth.
So when the Brotherhood of Steel crashes the party, we welcome the violence and come at them with melee. Soldiers in T-60 are dropped in one hit as we cleave a path for the Institute. Each kill makes us feel better, and in our enthusiasm, we are soon launching Brotherhood members to the rafters. And putting down anyone in our way. Hilariously, the synth targets try to bribe a devil with caps, and we humor them momentarily for our amusement.
Looking for you.
No, I've got money. It's yours if you let me go.
What's this about money?
Yes, money. Here. We're good, right?
This guy is so dense it isn't fun anymore.
F633. Initiate reset.
We are more perfunctory with the rest of them and meet Sean on the CIT roof to report our success.
So why come out here?
To put things in perspective, I suppose. I'll admit, when I had you released from Vault 111, I had no expectations that you'd survive out here in all this.
When you what now?
You let me out?
Yes. It was my decision.
So Mr. Scratch was pulling the strings this whole time, manipulating us into the vault so he could have Sean, and manipulating Sean to get us out of the vault so he could have us more completely. We should have expected no less.
Would the Commonwealth corrupt you, as it has everything else?
Oh, Sean, the Commonwealth didn't corrupt us. Loving you too much did.
Would you, after all this time, attempt to find me?
It never felt like a choice. But we're together now, and we won't let anything change that.
Sean, you need to know. I still love you.
I can see that you do. It's remarkable.
What we couldn't have known in that heartfelt moment was that no amount of bargaining or power would stop what was coming next.
Please. I'm sorry to say I am dying.
After everything, every sacrifice, every compromise, this is the final twist of the knife, and it staggers us so much that we can't accept it.
Why would you joke about this? It isn't funny.
Were it a joke, I'd agree it's in poor form. But I'm afraid it's not.
As if from a great distance, we hear that Sean wants us to be the new director and some other mumblings about the future of the Institute. Until finally, we had a chance to speak to him alone.
What it needs is a leader.
I had no idea.
I know this is... well, it's a lot to take in at once. I'm sorry, Mother. I hope it wasn't too presumptuous of me to put you in charge without even asking first.
So this is all we would keep of him, his legacy, the Institute.
I can do the job.
Of course you can. That's why I made the decision.
As the shock faded, it was replaced by a deep well of anger. God help anyone who stood in the way of Sean's dying wishes now. Starting with the Brotherhood at Mass Fusion. Thanks to the black and gray motif of the advanced synth uniform by DiodeLadder, the Institute's enemies were about to find out how dark we could get. Maybe we went a little too dark. But We didn't care what Ellie Fillmore or X88 thought of our methods. Like Kellogg before us, there was no arguing with our results. What Sean's vision required, we provided. Every time, without fail. The odds didn't matter. Against killer robots,
Analysis detected.
Against the stalwart Brotherhood, against anyone. We didn't tolerate incompetence from our own people.
As far as I can tell, you were only in harm's way because you screwed this up.
And when it came to insubordination, well...
Statistically speaking, your survival is improbable.
I suppose I should also make the funeral arrangements.
But through all this, we hadn't given up finding a cure for Sean. And Old Scratch had one more lead to tease us with.
Go away.
The Cabots, a wealthy pre-war family, was hiding the secret of immortality, and we were going to find it.
Let me in. Edward Deegan asked me to come here.
Oh, it's you. Good. Come on in.
Hello. Welcome to Cabot House. I'm Jack Cabot.
Jack was a man of science who understood that there was much science could not yet explain, including, apparently, his own father's possession and empowerment by a mysterious inhuman artifact 400 years ago.
Do you believe there is other intelligent life in the universe?
Oh, Jack, that's an adorable question.
The universe is a big place. Anything could be out there.
Wonderful.
Eventually, we learn that Jack is keeping his supernaturally powered psychotic father, Lorenzo, imprisoned because of the terrible powers he had gained from a terrible place.
And yet, everything about it is strange, disturbing geometries, tools not made for human hands, carvings that hint at dimensions beyond our own.
And somehow Jack's obsession with not letting the devil out kept him from seeing the devil he shouldn't let in. At first, we can't get access to this Lorenzo character, but desperate, Jack calls on us to help him keep his father contained.
Hello, Jack. It's been a long time since I've had the pleasure of a personal visit.
Father, I will stop this.
My powers have grown, Jack. The artifact still has so much to teach me. Once I am free, I will be happy to teach you too.
To take Lorenzo up on his offer and hopefully cure Sean, we would have to free him ourselves. His powered-up minions were disappointingly weak.
Don't listen to my son. He's the crazy one. You know this. Look at what he's done to me.
Lorenzo probably thinks his reasonable tone is winning us over, but compared to Mr. Scratch, he is an amateur.
Everything my son has told you about me is a self-serving lie. That must be obvious now.
We do sense a great deal of psychic energy from the artifact on his head, though. An arcane energy, not unlike Mr. Scratch.
Surely you can see that.
Hi.
Ah, at long last, you did the right thing. You'll see. It seems Jack doesn't want to talk to his father. We'll have to kill him, you know. And all the rest of them.
Say I do help you kill Jack and the rest of your family. What's in it for me?
What Jack stole from me, I will give to you freely. The gift of immortality. But first,
We already stole some vials of his serum from the Cabots. Bioscience is trying to develop a treatment for Sean with them now. If that is really all you have, well, screw you, Lorenzo. There's only room for one of us. Standing over his cooling corpse, we know that trying to learn anything from him would have been a waste of time. But we've never eaten anyone this powerful before. Who knows what we might gain? Lorenzo was right about one thing. The Cabots are loose ends that need tying up at some point. And now our attention returns to Institute matters, specifically the railroad. Sean has asked us to eliminate them, and so it will be done.
Pam wants you. She explained why, but I couldn't figure it out.
Bet you never met a synth before Glory.
Everyone's all, "You've been hitting the chems way too hard." But I got my eyes open.
Something on your mind? You don't look so good.
Really? You're just now noticing how we look.
The Institute has ordered me to kill you. All of you.
I suppose we should be flattered. So really, the question is, what are you going to do about it?
Sean is dying. Everyone else might as well too.
I'm afraid you all have to die.
Heads down!
God damn you. Matter of time.
Right you are, Tinker Tom, but this dirty business was just a warm-up. The real threat is the Brotherhood of Steel. Their base at the Boston airport is supposed to be nigh impregnable. Fortunately, there is an institute full of geniuses to plan the pregnation out.
Oh, for goodness sake.
Sean says it's time.
That. Dr. Orman has done most of the prep work, so I'll let her explain.
Okay, thanks. Is this really exciting, or is it just me?
And those geniuses have us to make it happen. The plan is pretty simple. We relay in as close as the Institute can get us to the airport, and we infiltrate it, destroying the signal jammers that the Brotherhood of Steel is using to stop the Institute from dropping 1,000,000 synths right on top of them. Then our backup will roll in, and we'll just need to play goalie for a while as Liberty Prime is reprogrammed to target the Pridwin and bring it down. Easy, right? No. Not even with 3 Demon Deathclaws and all the powers of hell itself was this an easy task. Let's walk you through it. Demon summons out first as our shock troops, followed by Molotovs in the general vicinity of turrets and guards, especially the missile-toting ones. Then we spark up for damage resistance, but Flame On makes us thirsty, so we hydrate. The noodles won't satisfy our hunger though, for that we'll need some bodies.
Don't give up! Rally!
Finally fed with a full AP bar, we work our way into the compound.
Safety's off. I need some covering fire! Now!
Me. No!
More hydrating, and then we climb up to the second floor while demons keep everyone distracted.
Come here! Let me... Take them all out! No mercy! I'm hit! Don't use the line!
We level up to 37 and take a moment to select the second Lone Wanderer perk before exiting cover and finishing off more enemies.
Weapons ready! Shoot to kill!
Damn it, my arm!
One of our demons has joined us up here and helps clean up, but we don't go for the first signal jammer, because our pissed off demon will target even our synth backup as soon as they spawn in. So for now, We roll as is to the second jammer in the control tower.
Heads up. They went dark.
Surprise assault. Fan out.
Target reacquired. And glory.
Once that one is dealt with, whatever chaos is erupting between the synths, the Brotherhood, and the demons can't be helped, and we hunt down the remaining 2 jammers.
Terminal B.
Hostile sensor reading detected. Hostile sensor reading detected. You must be terminated.
Whoever or whatever you are, I know you are out there.
Wait, what was that? Something's out there.
Locked on target.
By order of the Institute.
We chop a path back to Liberty Prime, execution style.
Relay complete. Virus proceeding to target.
And arrive in time to deal with Proctor Ingram and clear the platform.
Prepare to be terminated.
Initiating trans. Please defend this position.
Yo, my.
I cannot
allow these attacks to continue.
We have some synth beacons provided by this quest to throw at the choke points and keep Brotherhood troops on the ground busy, and we'll allow ourselves to use them. But our demons seem to be doing a pretty good job of crowd control all on their own.
Overriding encryption.
Taking damage. I'm hit.
Suspect. You must die.
Damn it.
An enemy may be utilizing stealth.
Need backup.
Proceeding to target.
Detected. Physically damaged. Repairs impossible.
Taking fire.
Finalizing upload in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Operation complete.
Can't feel.
Shutting down.
Initiating Directive 395. Destroy all communists. Combat subroutine. Eliminating all.
Time to go, ma'am. We're relaying to a safe location.
And in a flash, we were standing on a sandy shore with 2 of our 3 demons and our courser friend whose stealth boy only worked on his head, to take in the most underwhelmingly fog-obscured view in the history of Fallout 4 endings. But the view didn't matter. It was over, and all we could think to do was rush back to tell Sean that we had done it. We had saved his beloved Institute. We had stolen the Cabot serum, and bioscience would have a cure whipped up for Sean any second. When we returned, however, we were informed by Dr. Volkert that it was too late for any miracle cure or curse to save Sean.
I'm glad you're safe. Our time together has been strange, hasn't it? I spent years wondering what you were like. Thinking about all we missed out on. I want you to know that I'm grateful for the time we've had.
Our love for Sean was the only soul we had left. But why say that?
I'm glad I found you.
As am I. I think I'd like to sleep now.
I've lost Sean. All over again. I close my eyes. I see my life before all of this. Before the bombs. I thought I hoped I could find my family. Cheat time, make us whole again, the way we were. But now I know, war never changes.
Well, Wastelanders, we've beaten Fallout 4 Survival as a demon. We've won, but like every Institute playthrough before it, we've ended with no soul, no Sean. The least we can do is go murder those stuffy capital elitists for having a crummy serum. Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Please leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of my content. Later, Raiders, and we'll see you in the next one.
Good news! I figured out how to access the artifact's telekinesis effect.